Hi, this is Dave, Fellow Running Guide. Welcome to another navigation task. Today we've got a route choice task and it comes from North Wales, Snowdonia. And we're using the Ordnance Survey 1 to 25,000 map for this one. So simple question, what is the best route to get from A to B? So making sure that you know we're going from right to left on this one, because I know someone had a look at it and gave a detailed explanation of how they would get from B to A. So yeah, from A to B. So what do we mean by best route? We can look at that in a number of ways. So we could think about the quickest route. We can think about the safest in terms of terrain, because you can see there we've got quite a lot of rocky, steep ground. We could look at the shortest route. We could try and find the route with the least climb, least elevation, height gained. And we can also think about what would be the easiest in terms of navigating, especially in bad visibility. So let's have a think about some of the options. So if we were to think of the worst case scenario, really bad weather and poor visibility, we might decide to drop northwestwards down off the high ground into the valley below and then cut across the valley bottom. Navigation will be fairly straightforward because we've got this fence or boundary line to cross, and we've also got the main river itself. We've got some fairly distinctively shaped boundaries here, probably sheepfolds in there, and then we've got these streams draining in from the south on that side. So we've got quite a few tick-off features, and we could maybe use some of these streams and this bend in the river as attack points on our route. Also mentioned bad weather, if we've got very, very strong southwesterly winds, so winds coming from the southwest, we wouldn't necessarily want to be trying to find our way close to the edge of these crags here. So dropping down into the valley bottom might be a good option there. So the safest thing would be to follow these streams all the way down and then follow the river along. What the map doesn't tell us is what this terrain is like here. So this might be particularly boggy and wet and hard going. It's not got any marsh symbols on it, but we can just see the number of streams that are in there. Might be a bit wet. We might decide that we didn't go all the way down to the river. We dropped down to maybe this point here and then contoured along to the south of these sheepfolds. Again, picking up these two streams and then going from these streams here, taking a bearing up, and we can see the bend in the contours here. So we've got a re-entrant heading up here. And what we could be looking for is all this scree to the north, and there's a little scree shoot there. If we were to come up here, just with the main scree on our right hand side, you can see we're going up this re-entrant here, up, until we saw, if we hugged the scree, if we came up till it flattened off here, then that would take us to probably within 100 metres of that pond, which would be to our north. So the first option might look something like that there. As I said, you don't necessarily need to go all the way down to these streams. We could contour in along this here, but that would be an option. The distance for that is 2.2 kilometres and 235 metres of climb. So that's one to think of there. The absolute opposite of that would be to stay on the high ground and head southwestwards, skirt round the top of these cliffs, which would be to our north, down to the Bulch. I'm sure you don't pronounce it like that, down here, and then continuing westwards up this ridge and all the way up to the summit here, and then that would be our attack point when you can no longer go any higher. take a bearing northeastwards down this wide sort of area between the rocky ground, which has taken us into these rocks here, skirt around and then in that way. So that option would look something like that. Now with this, the difference is that we're going 3 kilometers and we've actually got 320 meters of climb on that one. So it's further and it's got more ascent. In terms of navigating, it's probably not that difficult, because as long as we've got the steep ground off to our right to the north, that's fine. Up this ridge here should be straightforward, and we just keep going till we get to the high point and then taking bearing from there down and in. So that's the other extreme. What about options in the middle? What if we wanted to not lose any height and not gain any height, or limit that as much as possible? Could we take a bearing and head through the centre, through here? Well, we could do that. I think the danger of that is that we don't know what the terrain's like, but we can see we've got bouldery ground, so it's not going to be particularly quick going on that route. But we could pick up a route, we could decide a route something like the purple, where we headed pretty much due west through the gap between these rocky outcrops, and then pretty much contour in. We'd get to the boundary here, which may be a wall or a fence, over that, underneath this rocky outcrop, and again contouring in here. We'd have a choice. We could contour along until we hit this scree and then go up it, or we could take a rising line, if you like, further up to maybe a point in here. I think the danger with that in bad visibility is, unless you know your altitude, you might overdo it and end up here somewhere. So sticking on the contour to aim for this scree would be good, and then up the re-entrant the same as we did for the yellow route. So that's an option. Distance with that one, it's the shortest, it's just over 2 kilometers, and there's only 134 meters of climb, but I just suspect that the going might not be that fast. It might be quite rocky, certainly in this first section around here. Is there another option? Well, what we could think about doing is follow the light blue route for a certain distance, and then rather than going all the way up to the summit here just to come down again, could we cut through this rock band somewhere? So we wouldn't necessarily want to be going straight down these rocky outcrops, but you see this point here where we could contour in, so we could maybe do something like that there. That would take us in. So with that option, it's 2.15 kilometers and only 156 meters of climb. So we've got a few different options there. What about the time for these? How long will they take us? So I'm using Anket mapping software for this, and I've put the formula in for a running pace of 6 minutes per kilometre. So that's 6 minutes per grid square. So that would be doing a 10k in an hour. But I've also added 1 minute for every 30 meters of climb that we do. So if we look at option 1, we can see that the total ascent 235 meters, distance 2.23 kilometers. So that gives us an estimated time of 20 minutes and 40 seconds. If we look at option 2, which is the contouring option, that actually gives us less climb and slightly less distance, so less time, but I'm not sure that we'd still be able to run at 6 minutes per kilometre through this rocky ground here, so that might be a little bit optimistic, that one. What about option 3, which is the going along the top but not all the way to the summit? Well, that gives us 2.16 kilometers, 156 meters of climb, and just short of 18 minutes total. That doesn't have as much rocky ground in it, so we'd probably be running faster than option 2. And then finally option 4, the up to the top and down. Well, this one is telling us we've got 322 meters of climb and 3 kilometers, so that is quite a lot longer in terms of time than all the others. Now you've obviously got your own thoughts on what you do. Some people are quite happy to bomb it down the hillside and up the other side. Some people might be happy going through this bit in the middle and the rocky ground. And obviously clear days are much different to bad visibility days, but it's just that there's a few different options that we could take there. So those are all your options. I hope it makes sense to you. I hope it gives you some food for thought about what you might do and how long it might take you if you take the long way round or the shorter way round. So those are your answers for this week. Thanks for watching. Look out for next week's navigation task. Bye for now.